Hi everyone, my name is Darcee and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Darcee.
Uh, there's my timer. Good. Thank you. So my sobriety date is September 8th of 2015. And this is not my first time in Alcoholics Anonymous. I ended up in Alcoholics Anonymous in 1990. I was 18 years old and my mom suggested that I go live with her best friend who had been sober and a member of Alcoholics Anonymous for about 5 years. And I did. I was unable to take care of myself because I had been in a 100-mile-an-hour head-on collision and broke everything but my right leg. And I spent 2.5 months in the hospital in recovery, just trying to learn how to drink and put clothes on and stuff like that. And so I needed help caring for myself, and my mom's best friend was willing to do that. And so I went and I stayed with her, and I became Miss AA 1990, and I was very into the fellowship part of Alcoholics Anonymous, and that was in San Diego, California, and what a glorious place for Alcoholics Anonymous. The fellowship is very strong. Shortly thereafter, I moved to Washington State, and I walked into a meeting in Everett, Washington, and I think this was about 92. And everyone in the room was like 110. And that was back when you could like smoke in the meetings, and it was at the Chuck Wagon restaurant in Everett, Washington. And I was like, I don't have anything in common with these people. And so I stopped going to meetings. I did not drink for another 12 years after that. However, my life got more and more chaotic as the time went. And sometime, and I know exactly when I quit drinking and using drugs in 1990, and I can tell you exactly when I quit drinking in 2015, but I couldn't tell you the exact date of when I decided that I was going to go buy vodka. And I drank for 10 years. So many things happened during that time. Divorces, being a horrible mom, a DUI, cracking my head open at a Christmas party and ending up in the hospital up here on the hill, Swedish, I think it was, emergency room at 6 o'clock in the morning, getting 8 staples in my head. Just the things that I did, and none of that was enough to quit drinking. I got pulled over 8:30 in the morning on I-5 after a work party, and I was doing the hokey pokey on the side of I-5 at 8:30 in the morning with sideways rain and stuff. And I went to Seattle jail, and when I got bailed out, they let me out, and my husband at the time was not there to pick me up, so I grabbed an Uber and went down to McCormick and Schmitz and immediately grabbed more vodka. So none of that was enough for me to quit drinking at the time. After 10 years, my life had become like Groundhog's Day. Get up, drink, go to work, sometimes drink there, sometimes drink at lunch, and then on the way home doing the mental math of whether I had enough alcohol at home, and if my husband was going to drink, was I going to have enough for the two of us? Like everything was so planned of whether or not I had enough alcohol. And that was back in the day when you had to go to the liquor store. You couldn't buy it in the Safeway. And so it was a big planning. Like if I spent that much time planning how I was going to get loaded, right? Like it was awful. Like I had no joy whatsoever. The joy had been sucked out of my life entirely. And I was miserable. I wanted to, I wanted everything to end. I was too chicken to kill myself. I hated everyone. I hated my job. I was like everything was awful. Although materialistically, I had everything that a normal woman at that age should have: a big house and 2 beautiful dogs and 3 kids and a husband and a job where you make money and all of the stuff. But I was just so absolutely emotionally and spiritually bankrupt on the inside. I didn't know that. I just thought, well, maybe for right now, I'm not going to drink. And I told my mom that I had quit drinking, and she said to me, she's like, so like forever. And I was like, no, 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 no. We're just gonna do this. So I put alcohol down, um, and I was working with a lady that was sober. So how this happened was I knew I was losing my job, so I went on interviews to another job, and I walked in, and this woman that I had worked with previously, she comes up to me and she's like glowing, and she's lost all this weight, and she looks amazing. And I was like, oh my God, you look amazing. I thought she was going to tell me that she started like taking phentermine again, or like whatever the situation, some magic pill. And she's like, I quit drinking. And I was like, in my head, it was like screaming, like, not that. That can't be the answer. And I went home, and my house was miserable. We didn't talk. My kids had kind of also gone away because they were tired of being my personal chauffeur. And so I decided on the 7th, September 7th, that I was going to dump the vodka out, and I wasn't going to drink for now, because I figured that would make me feel a little bit better. If it did that for her, then it's got to do the same for me. And I was supposed to start my new job that Monday, and I was super sick. And so I went to the doctor because I didn't want them to think like that something was wrong with me, like, I had the stomach flu or something was going on. And I went to the doctor, and they told me that I had norovirus, because of course I wasn't honest with the doctor and say, hey, I just quit drinking, and but I didn't do the math either. So I went. It took me about 3 days to get the jitters out of me, where I could go and perform a job at, as at a car dealership is where I work. And I I did not drink for a couple months. I started physically feeling better, but inside my head it was like a pinball machine. Like I couldn't stop the voices or the sounds and the rapid racing of the thoughts. I could not stop it. There was another woman that worked there, and she's like, well, I think, for inflammation, I'm going to quit drinking. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe we'll meet halfway in between. And I walked into a Magical Rim in Mount Lake Terrace on a Wednesday night, and some people were there, and they made me feel welcome. Um, Enough to go back the next week, and then the next week, and I started getting back into the fellowship part where I wanted, like, oh well, maybe I should go more than once a week. Maybe I'll get to know these people and give them a chance. They seemed to be happy, and I was miserable, and I did. She did not stay, but I did, and over the past 10 years, things have changed in my life so dramatically. When I first got sober, there was a girl in that Wednesday night meeting, and she says to me, she goes, well, think about getting a sponsor. And I was like, no, 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 no. Yeah, I guess I kind of need to get one of those. And she goes, well, here, call this lady. And this is my sponsor. We had gone out to lunch, and I called her, and she was very serious, and I wasn't ready to be that serious. And so I went to a Sunday night meeting, and I really thought that I had to pick the perfect person at the time, and I picked somebody, and she walked me through the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. And that's when I started feeling some serious relief from the racing thoughts in my head. I think it was about, I don't know, 10, so 3.5 years sober. I started really, like, some of those steps I was okay with, and some of them I didn't really want anything to do with. And I don't know how I could possibly be so reticent to anything that has to do with God, because I could cuss him out, as much as I want in my head when things weren't going my way, or I could throw the foxhole prayer, like if you get me out of this one, then that'll never happen again. But it was about 3.5 years of sobriety where I started really like plugging in, and then COVID happened, and we didn't have a meeting for a while. And I was lucky enough we went to a backyard picnic for one of our friends. Um, and a guy was in the meeting, in our backyard COVID meeting, and he said, "Hey, I found this 24/7 platform," and I went online and got really, really involved during COVID, chairing meetings and helping with security and all the crazy stuff that was happening at that time. And I got to hear what other people were saying. Women invited me into women's groups, and we would have talks about their experience, and that really helped me a lot to be plugged in and know that I can't do this by myself. I need you, and I need my higher power to help me. And it completely changed my life, 100%. I had a sponsor in New York at the time because during COVID, my sponsor went out again and started drinking. And I had a sponsor, but it's very difficult for us to connect being the 3-hour time difference. And so I think Not Like Tourists opened up. It was one of the meetings that kind of sort of opened up real early, and we were sitting in the meetings with face masks. And I got to be a part of the Not Like Tourists group. And I started seeing the women that I called 10 years or 6 years ago or whatever it was that was too serious for me. And it was apparent to me that she walked the walk of Alcoholics Anonymous and loved this program as much as I was learning to love it. And so are all of the people that were underneath her. So I'm super grateful that I asked her to be my sponsor, and that we are walking through we're almost done walking through the steps right now. And my life has changed so much. I'm able to experience joy. Those are things that I couldn't experience before. Anytime that any sort of bad thing happened in my life, I needed my solution, which was alcohol, right? It's the only thing that could take me out of the problem that I was experiencing at the moment. And now I don't even think about it. That's not at all my thought. I'm able to feel the feelings that I wasn't comfortable feeling before. And Alcoholics Anonymous has completely taught me how to do that. I'm super grateful to have a big sober sister group also, right? I'm just so lucky today that I'm able to, if I have a hard time, that I can reach out for help. I'm not afraid to pick up the phone. I'm able to be there for my mom today. I was thinking today, because Mother's Day is tomorrow, I was thinking there was a Mother's Day where I didn't even show up. Like, I just was so self-absorbed and selfish that I didn't even show up or call my mom and say Happy Mother's Day. And today, my partner, his son, and myself all live with my mom because she's not able to live on her own any longer. And never, ever, without Alcoholics Anonymous, would I be able to do that, because things wouldn't have been my way. And you guys have taught me how to do that. Alcoholics Anonymous, walking through the steps of on the wall. I'm super grateful because I get to help another woman also, right? That we get to sit down and spend 2 hours reading in the book of Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't know, just my experience with the 85th this year also, and walking through and seeing this stuff in the archives is absolutely amazing, to the lengths that they went to, and what you were reading with the phone calls and the writing the letters to go back and forth just to find a little bit of relief. That I have never been so grateful that they went to those lengths, because this has changed my life, and for that I'm eternally grateful. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.